I don't care what you say, little girl. You stole that card, and I'm calling the police. Scarlett Ashford, the white store manager, screamed down at the terrified child, her voice echoing through tech world electronics like a weapon. The little girl, Zara Nightingale, could barely catch her breath between sobs. "Please don't hurt me," she cried. "I didn't steal the card." Phones came out. Cameras started recording. Customers whispered and shouted over each other. The electronic hum of the store drowned out by chaos. But what none of them knew, including Scarlett Ashford herself, was that in exactly 23 minutes, her world was going to collapse. Because this wasn't just about a card. It was about prejudice, justice, and one child whose mother's name would change everything. 45 minutes earlier, an 8-year-old with light-up sneakers and a birthday countdown in her head had pushed through the glass doors at 2:15 p.m. That was Zara Bright. Curious, the kid who didn't just want to play games but asked how things worked. She lived with her single mother, Celeste, and loved two things with equal devotion: strawberry ice cream and tablet unboxing videos. Clutched in her hand was her mother's black American Express card. She held it carefully, the way other kids hold butterflies. Celeste had said, "Pick the one you love most, my scientist." Today was the day. On the other side of the floor stood Scarlett Ashford, 45, manager for 15 long, bitter years. A recent divorce and endless bills had twisted her patience into something darker. She had grown resentful, suspicious, especially of black families she imagined didn't belong in her store. At the register stood Aubrey Delqua, a kind young cashier. She loved helping customers, especially children. When Zara approached her, Aubrey smiled instantly. "Excuse me, miss," Zara said politely. "Could you help me find a tablet for learning and games?" Aubrey grinned. "Of course! Let's find you something perfect." Together they browsed through rows of colorful tablets. Zara's eyes sparkled as she asked surprisingly mature questions about storage, memory, and battery life. Aubrey was impressed. "This one," Aubrey said, holding up a sleek silver model with a purple case. Zara gasped. "It's perfect. Mommy said I could pick whichever one I liked best." A moment of pure childhood joy until Scarlett noticed. From behind the counter, Scarlett's cold gaze locked onto Zara, a little black girl, alone, holding a premium credit card. In her mind, it didn't add up. She stormed over, heels clicking like warning shots. "Where are your parents, little girl?" she demanded. Zara turned, startled. "My mommy's at work," she said softly. "She told me to pick out my birthday present. She gave me her card." "Let me see that card," Scarlett snapped, hand out like an order. Zara, still innocent and trusting, handed it over. Scarlett's eyes narrowed when she saw the black Amex, the kind of card that screamed wealth. Her mind twisted instantly. "There's no way this kid owns this. Where did you get this?" Scarlett barked. "My mommy gave it to me," Zara said, confused but polite. "What's your mother's name? Where does she work? How do I know you didn't steal this?" The interrogation grew harsher with every word. Zara's lip trembled. "I'm not supposed to tell strangers about Mommy's work," she whispered. "But I didn't steal anything." Aubrey stepped forward, horrified. "Ma'am, please, she's just a child. We can call to verify." "I'll handle this," Scarlett snapped, cutting her off. Zara clutched her pink cell phone. "I can call my mommy." "She'll tell you." "Go ahead," Scarlett said, arms crossed. Zara's small fingers dialed. 1 ring, 2 rings, voicemail, tears welled in her eyes. "Mommy's phone went to the message thing," she said quietly. Scarlett smirked. "Of course it did." "Because you don't have permission, do you?" Her voice rose so everyone could hear. "You stole this card, didn't you?" Gasps rippled through the store. A few customers looked away, embarrassed. Others nodded along. "You're right to be cautious," one man muttered. "Kids steal these days." "What kind of mother lets a child shop alone?" said another. Zara heard every word. Each one chipped away at her confidence. "I'm not a thief," she sobbed. "Mommy gave it to me." "Enough!" Scarlett shouted. "Stop crying. Tell me the truth." "I am telling the truth," Zara pleaded. "Please, I just want my mommy." The child reached out, a small, trembling hand seeking comfort. Scarlett's open palm struck Zara's face so hard that the sound echoed through the store. Smack. Time froze. The red mark on Zara's cheek glowed under the harsh store lights. She stumbled back, shocked. Silent tears ran down her face. Then chaos erupted. "She hit a child!" Someone screamed. "Oh my God, call the police!" Phones came up, flashes ignited, voices blurred. Aubrey ran from behind the counter and dropped to her knees beside Zara. "Hey, sweetheart, you're okay. You're safe now," she whispered, pulling the sobbing child into her arms. Zara shook violently. "Why did she hit me?" "I didn't do anything bad." Aubrey held her close. "You didn't do anything wrong. That lady was so wrong. You're a good girl." Meanwhile, Scarlett stood rigid, jaw tight, trying to control the chaos she had unleashed. "Remove her," she ordered the security guard. She was disruptive and probably stealing. Phoenix, the guard, didn't move. He had seen enough to know who was wrong. Customers began shouting at Scarlett. "She's just a child." "You're insane!" But a few others muttered agreement under their breath. Indigo Blackwell, standing near the back, didn't stop recording. She had filmed everything, from the first question to the slap. She uploaded it in seconds. "The world needs to see this," she whispered. The title she typed was simple: "Store Manager Slaps 8-Year-Old Girl Over Credit Card." Through her sobs, Zara tried her mother again. Her hands trembled, but she remembered what Celeste had told her. "If you can't reach me, call my office." She dialed the number for Nightingale Enterprises. "Good afternoon, Nightingale Enterprises," answered Margaret Chen, Celeste's executive assistant. Between gasps, Zara said, "Margaret, it's Zara. A mean lady hit me. I'm scared." Margaret's blood ran cold. "Where are you, sweetheart?" "I'm at the computer store. Mommy's card. She thinks I stole it." Margaret didn't wait another second. She burst through the glass doors of the CEO's boardroom, interrupting Celeste mid-presentation. "Celeste," she said urgently, "you need to come. Zara's been hurt." The boardroom fell silent. Every executive froze as Celeste Nightingale, brilliant, composed, and terrifyingly calm, stood. "Where is she?" "Tech World Electronics. 5th Street." Celeste grabbed her keys. "Call my lawyers." "My driver and security. Cancel everything." She was out the door before the projector stopped humming. Back at the store, the sirens had grown louder. Scarlett was on the phone reporting a disruptive child. Aubrey rocked Zara gently. Indigo's video was already gaining views thousands, then tens of thousands. And then outside, a black SUV screeched into the parking lot. The door flew open. A woman stepped out, tall, poised, radiating fury disguised as calm. Celeste Nightingale. She walked through the sliding glass doors like a storm in heels. Her eyes scanned the chaos, and then found her daughter. "Zara," she breathed. "Mommy." Zara ran, sobbing, into her mother's arms. Celeste knelt and gathered her child, touching the red mark on her face with trembling fingers. "Who did this to you?" Before anyone could answer, Scarlett marched over, her tone dripping with arrogance. "Finally." "Your daughter's been disruptive," and Celeste rose slowly, holding Zara behind her. Her voice came out low and dangerous. "You hit my daughter?" "She was stealing," Scarlett said defiantly. "I disciplined her." Celeste's eyes hardened. "You assaulted an 8-year-old." And then, as the sirens stopped outside, 2 police officers entered the store. The police officers stepped inside, scanning the scene. The air in the store was electric with tension. Officer Rodriguez noticed the red handprint on Zara's face immediately. The other officer, Lopez, began asking customers to step back, trying to bring order to the chaos. Celeste stood still, holding her daughter close, her expression unreadable but her silence deafening. "Ma'am," Officer Rodriguez said gently, "we received a call about a disturbance. Can you tell us what happened?" Before Celeste could answer, Scarlett jumped in. "Yes, I called. This child was stealing a credit card and causing a scene. I tried to discipline her, but she—" Rodriguez held up a hand. "You hit this child?" "I corrected her behavior," Scarlett snapped. Someone had to. The entire store fell quiet again. Even those who had supported Scarlett earlier now stared in disbelief. Rodriguez turned to Celeste. Ma'am, is this your daughter? Celeste nodded, handing over her ID and business card. Celeste Nightingale, CEO of Nightingale Enterprises. My daughter, Zara, came here to buy her birthday gift with my permission and my credit card. Instead, she was assaulted. Officer Lopez blinked at the name. Everyone in the city knew who Celeste Nightingale was. Tech World Electronics, the store they were standing in, was inside a shopping complex owned by Nightingale Real Estate Holdings. Scarlett had just assaulted the landlord's daughter. Rodriguez's jaw tightened. Ma'am, he said to Scarlett, turn around. You're under arrest for assault on a minor. Scarlett stared at him in disbelief. What? You can't be serious? I was doing my job. Rodriguez read her rights while slipping the handcuffs around her wrists. The metallic click sounded final. You have the right to remain silent, he said firmly. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You're making a mistake, Scarlett protested, her voice breaking for the first time. That woman's just trying to make me look bad. Celeste looked at her coldly. You did that yourself. Dante Maroro, the assistant manager, was pale as paper. He'd been trying to call the regional office since the chaos began, his hands shaking so badly he kept pressing the wrong buttons. Miss Nightingale, he stammered, please, I had no idea what was happening. Scarlett. She went too far. Celeste's voice was quiet but razor sharp. You stood there and did nothing while a child was being attacked in your store. That's almost worse. The officers led Scarlett toward the exit, but Celeste wasn't done. Before you take her, she said, I want to see the security footage. Dante hesitated. I don't think. I wasn't asking. He nodded quickly and hurried to the security office, fumbling with the keys. Inside, Celeste stood beside Officer Rodriguez as the footage loaded. The first image appeared, Zara walking into the store, happy and excited, her sneakers lighting up. Then came Scarlett's watchful glare, the interrogation, the slap. Celeste's face didn't move, but her knuckles turned white against the table. Play it again, she said. The sound of Scarlett's hand hitting Zara's cheek filled the tiny room. Celeste's jaw clenched, her eyes wet but hard. Rodriguez exhaled slowly. There's no question what happened here. Good, Celeste replied. Save the footage. I'll have my legal team collect it. When she returned to the main floor, Scarlett was being guided out by the officers. Cameras flashed from every direction. Customers, reporters, even passers-by filming through the windows. Scarlett's face twisted with panic as she realized people weren't just watching. They were recording her downfall. This is insane, Scarlett shouted as she was pushed toward the police car. You're ruining my life over one little incident. Celeste followed her to the door, her voice steady, every word deliberate. You didn't ruin your life today, Scarlett. You just revealed who you really are. The crowd began clapping, slowly at first, then louder. It wasn't just applause for justice. It was for a mother who had arrived like a storm to protect her child. Inside the store, Dante's phone finally connected to the regional manager. He handed it to Celeste with trembling fingers. They want to speak with you. Celeste took the phone, putting it on speaker for everyone to hear. This is Celeste Nightingale, she said calmly. Your store manager just assaulted my 8-year-old daughter while accusing her of theft. There are multiple witnesses, a police report, and at least one viral video. The voice on the other end went silent for a second, then stammered. Ms. Nightingale, I am so sorry. This is completely unacceptable. We will investigate. You will not investigate, Celeste interrupted. You will terminate her employment immediately. You will also suspend the assistant manager for failing to intervene. And you will send me a written plan for mandatory anti-discrimination and child safety training at all of your stores by the end of today. Yes, absolutely, the voice replied quickly. Consider it done. Celeste handed the phone back to Dante, who looked like he might faint. Then she turned to Aubrey, the young cashier who had held Zara through the entire ordeal. What's your name? Celeste asked. Aubrey Delcroix, she said softly. I'm so sorry about what happened, ma'am. I tried to stop her. Celeste's tone softened for the first time. You did the right thing when no one else did. That matters. She reached into her purse and handed Aubrey a business card. Call my office tomorrow. You're being promoted to store manager, effective immediately, with a raise. I'll make sure your company honors it. Aubrey's eyes widened. Ma'am, I thank you. Thank you so much. Celeste smiled faintly. Don't thank me. Just keep doing what's right. Outside, Scarlett was loaded into the back of the police car, the crowd parting like a wave. Indigo Blackwell's video was now everywhere, millions of views in under an hour. News vans lined the street, and the words "Justice for Zara" were already trending online. Reporters shouted questions as Scarlett's car pulled away. Did you really hit a child? Do you have anything to say to the Nightingale family? Scarlett covered her face, but it was too late. The world had seen everything. Celeste held Zara close as they stepped out of the store. Her daughter was still trembling, her small hands gripping her mother's sleeve. Mommy, Zara whispered, are they going to hurt me again? Celeste knelt, cupping Zara's face gently. No, baby. No one will ever hurt you again. I promise. They walked together toward the waiting black SUV, surrounded by Celeste's private security team. Cameras followed their every step, but Celeste didn't care. She wasn't the CEO right now. She was a mother taking her child home. That night, while Zara slept curled up beside her, Celeste stared out the window of their penthouse apartment, city lights glittering below. Her phone buzzed nonstop with messages from journalists, lawyers, and CEOs she knew personally. Everyone wanted a comment, but she said nothing publicly. Not yet. She wasn't interested in headlines. She was planning something bigger, something that would make sure no other child ever went through what her daughter did. Across the city, TechWorld's corporate office scrambled to issue a public apology. News networks ran the story nonstop. Commentators debated racism, parenting, and accountability. The video of Scarlett striking Zara had become impossible to avoid. By morning, Justice for Zara had reached over 20 million views. The headline on every major outlet read the same. Billionaire CEO's daughter assaulted in electronics store. Manager arrested. But for Celeste Nightingale, this was only the beginning. Morning light filtered softly through the tall windows of the Nightingale penthouse. The city outside was alive with sirens, news vans, and restless energy. Celeste hadn't slept. She stood at the window with a cup of untouched coffee, staring down at the skyline. The chaos from yesterday had turned into a nationwide storm. Every channel played the same video. Every host repeated the same words. A store manager assaults a child, unaware she's the daughter of billionaire CEO Celeste Nightingale. Margaret entered quietly, a tablet in her hands. It's everywhere, she said, her voice low but urgent. CNN, BBC, social media. Our Justice for Zara has more than 30 million posts. Everyone's talking about you. Celeste didn't turn around. Good, she said quietly. Let them talk. But it can't stop there. On the couch nearby, Zara was curled under a blanket, asleep at last. Her cheek was still faintly pink where Scarlett's hand had landed. Celeste set her cup down and sat beside her daughter, brushing a curl from her face. She could fight boardrooms full of CEOs without blinking, but the sight of that faint mark made her hands shake. She whispered, No one will ever hurt you again, my love. When Zara woke up later, she was quiet, confused by how the world suddenly knew her name. Celeste knelt beside her. Sweetheart, she said gently, a lot of people saw what happened. They're angry because they know it was wrong. Zara blinked up at her mother. Are they angry at me? No, baby, Celeste said, pulling her into her arms. They're angry for you. By noon, Celeste was standing behind a podium in a packed press room at Nightingale Enterprises headquarters. The cameras flashed like lightning as reporters shouted her name. She raised one hand and the room went still. Yesterday, she began, my 8-year-old daughter was humiliated and assaulted by a store manager who saw her not as a child, but as a suspect. That manager has been arrested. But this is not only about her. This is about a sickness that hides behind customer service smiles, a sickness called prejudice. Every word landed like a hammer. I have built my company on innovation, on integrity, on vision, Celeste continued. But none of it means anything if we tolerate hate. That's why starting today, every business operating on my properties will adopt a new mandatory program, the Zara Protocol. It will include anti-bias education, child protection rules, and direct accountability for every manager and employee, because no child should ever fear the adults around them. The applause was thunderous. That night, Celeste sat on the floor beside Zara's bed, watching her color a picture of a tablet with hearts drawn around it. Zara looked up suddenly. "Mommy, why was that lady so angry at me? I didn't do anything wrong." Celeste's throat tightened. "She was angry at the world, baby, not at you. Some people let their pain turn into meanness, but that's not your fault." "So she was mean because of my skin?" Zara asked quietly. Celeste hesitated, then nodded. "Yes, but remember this. Her meanness says nothing about who you are. You are smart, kind, brave, and perfect just as you are." Zara thought for a long moment, then said, "Then we have to help other kids, Mommy, so no one else gets scared like I did." Celeste smiled through tears. "Yes, we will." Days turned into weeks, and the movement grew faster than anyone could have predicted. TechWorld's CEO issued an official statement accepting full responsibility and personally visited Celeste to apologize. Corporate offices around the country began reviewing their training programs. Activists praised Celeste for not only defending her daughter, but demanding systemic change. But she didn't care about the interviews or the praise. She cared about the children who were watching. Meanwhile, Indigo Blackwell, the woman who had filmed the entire incident, became an overnight figure in the news. She was interviewed on national television, tears in her eyes as she said, "I just knew I had to do something. I couldn't let that little girl be hurt without someone showing the truth." Celeste later invited Indigo to her office. When Indigo arrived, nervous and unsure, Celeste embraced her. "You gave the world the truth," she said softly. "You gave my daughter justice." Indigo shook her head. "No, you did that. I just pressed record." Scarlett Ashford's world fell apart quickly. Within 48 hours, she was fired, arrested, and her mugshot plastered across every news site. Her social media accounts were deleted, her neighbors avoided her, and her name became a synonym for cruelty. In court, she tried to cry and apologize, but the video spoke louder than her words. The judge sentenced her to community service, therapy, and probation with a record that would follow her for life. Reporters asked Celeste for comment. She refused, saying only, "I don't need revenge, I need reform." Aubrey Delqua, the young cashier who had protected Zara, was promoted to store manager just as Celeste had promised. Corporate executives visited the store weeks later to film new training materials. Aubrey kept the small pink bow that Zara had left behind as a reminder of why kindness mattered more than policy. Months passed, and the media moved on to new stories. But for Celeste, this was just the beginning. She poured resources into building a new project inspired by Zara's words, the Kindness app. Designed with the help of Celeste's engineers, psychologists, and child safety experts, it allowed children to record and report mistreatment in real time. It automatically sent an alert to trusted adults, included a safe map of friendly nearby locations, and provided messages of encouragement recorded by other children. When the first prototype was ready, Zara tested it herself. The home screen glowed with bright colors and the simple words, "You are safe." She pressed the big pink heart button, and the app played a recorded voice. "You are brave." "Help is coming," Zara grinned. "It works, Mommy." Celeste smiled, tears welling in her eyes. "You made it work, baby." This was your idea. On Zara's 9th birthday, they officially launched Kindness. Within weeks, it had been downloaded by hundreds of schools and community centers. Stories poured in, kids using it to report bullying, unsafe teachers, or discrimination. Parents wrote thank you letters saying the app had saved their children from harm. Celeste realized that what began as pain had become a global movement. She founded a nonprofit called the Nightingale Initiative to fund scholarships for children affected by discrimination, naming the first program the Zara Nightingale Scholarship for Young Innovators. Within a year, more than 1,000 students had applied. One quiet Sunday evening, Celeste and Zara sat together watching a documentary about kindness in schools. Zara rested her head on her mother's shoulder. "Mommy," she said softly, "people know my name now." "Is that okay?" Celeste kissed her forehead. "Yes, sweetheart. Because when people know your name, they also know your strength. And maybe, just maybe, they'll remember to be kind. Outside, the city lights glittered like tiny stars reflected in glass. In one of those offices far below, an employee hesitated before snapping at a customer and instead chose patience. In another, a teacher paused before judging a child too quickly. Across thousands of screens, the words, "Choose kindness." First glowed softly, a reminder of an 8-year-old girl who refused to let hate define her story. That night, as Zara drifted to sleep, she whispered, "Mommy, do you think the world is better now?" Celeste smiled through the darkness. "Not perfect yet, baby, but better, because of you." And somewhere in the quiet hum of the city, where injustice had once echoed, a new sound began to rise, the sound of change.